And Marco Rubio reiterates this as he says, if this was any other president than Trump, people would be trying to give him the Nobel Peace Prize.
I just don't get it. I really don't, other than the fact that it's Donald J. Trump. If this was a Democrat that was doing this, everyone would be saying, well, he's on his way to the Nobel Peace Prize. This is absurd. We are trying to end a war. You cannot end a war unless both sides come to the table, starting with the Russians. And that is the point the president has made. And we have to do whatever we can to try to bring them to the table to see if it's even possible. I'm not promising you it's possible. I'm not telling you it's 90% likely. I'm saying it's 0% likely if we don't get them to a negotiating table. And the sooner everyone grows up around here and figures out that this is a bad war that's heading in a bad direction with death and destruction and all kinds of dangers surrounding it that could spiral into a broader conflict, the sooner people grow up and realize that, I think the more progress we're going to be able to make. But the president's crystal clear. He campaigned on it, and he's going to govern on it. And that is, he is going to be a president that tries to achieve peace.
Again, I just don't understand the Democrat and the European and the Ukrainian philosophy that we won't stop the bloodshed today unless you can guarantee me that there will be no bloodshed 10 years from now. Parking NATO right up on Russia's doorstep is a great thing for Ukraine. I get it. I see why they want it. But it is quite literally the worst thing possible for the United States, especially when we see how Zelensky acts when he feels like he's enabled behind us. The Democrats have nothing to do with their time besides criticize every single thing that Donald Trump is doing, offer no alternative plan on literally any issue, and then be so Trump deranged and war hungry that they're saying anybody who desires peace isn't a true American. You're not a true patriot. You're actually standing with Russia. The argument is so intellectually dishonest. So if Putin says that a Hershey bar tastes good, and I also agree with that, now I'm standing with Russia, aligning myself with Russia, moving away from my allies. I mean, just give me a break. And just like everything else, the Democrats are deciding to take the most unpopular side of every single issue they can, simply to be a Trump resistance. Look at this CNN poll that shows that an overwhelming amount of Americans want a peace deal.
Let's talk about the idea of a peace deal. And again, the way you ask this matters, but go ahead.
The way you ask it is important, so we can talk about this a little bit. So the poll question essentially is, do you support a Russia-Ukraine negotiated peace deal? The vast majority of Americans, this is what they want. 78% say that they support this idea versus just 16% oppose. Of course, as we were talking about, does this question actually get at what's going on right now? I think you would say that it probably does not necessarily get what's going on right now.
No, the question asked, do you support a Russia-Ukraine negotiated peace deal? Ukraine's not there at the negotiations in Saudi Arabia this week, so the people were not asked this. And I do think, in general, if you ask anyone in any poll, do you support peace? Peace tends to rate pretty highly.
Peace tends to win. You rarely get 78% of the country agreeing on anything. They do agree on the idea of a negotiated peace deal between Russia and Ukraine.
So even though it's clear an overwhelming majority of Americans want this war to end, the Democrats will see things like Times Square being flooded with a whole bunch of radical Trump deranged leftists with their Ukraine flags and think that represents the will of the American people. They still haven't figured out that their radical base, which is what lost them the election, is the loudest, the most whiny, the most vocal and out there. And so they consistently go against what the average ordinary American wants because they're so scared of getting some flack on X from their blue-haired base. Now, I'm not advocating for leaving NATO, but if these European allies that we're obliged to hop into war with are trying to strong-arm us and to keep funding this war, otherwise they're just going to get involved themselves, thus bringing us into it, I certainly think it should at least be evaluated if that's actually how little they think of us. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.